Hey everyone, welcome to another CircWorks live stream. This will be an earlier one, so I don't know if more people will be able to catch it at this time or not. I kind of missed yesterday, so I'm going to make up for it right now. If you're watching live, it's Friday the 13th, so I thought I would draw some monsters. Actually, I've pretty much got some quick rough sketches done already for a Frankenstein and a werewolf. I don't know if I'll get to both of these today, but I'm going to start on the Frankenstein. I'm just going to do a little more fine tuning on this sketch, and then I'm going to ink it, and we'll see how it comes out. The chat's open, so if you are watching and you want to participate in the chat, you can do that on Ustream. So I am just going to when I do my rough sketches, there's just tons and tons of lines and certain lines that I'm not going to use, and so right now I'm just going to kind of go over the ones that I like a little bolder, so that I'll know when I go to ink which lines to use. So this version of Frankenstein, um, I guess it strays a little bit from the classic Universal version. I still want him to kind of be a big, lumbering um, beast um, that's made up from different human body parts and everything. Originally, when I did the sketch of his face, he was kind of real mean looking. But I always like the Frankenstein that's a little like he didn't really ask to be born or created. He's just kind of there and trying to figure out what's going on. Not necessarily always a bad guy. Um, so so I changed his face so he's a little less frightening. I also like in if you ever seen the Monster Squad, that show, the movie from the 80s, Frankenstein kind of befriends the kids out of all the monsters that kind of come back on that night. Um, he's kind of the good guy. So it's kind of cool sometimes to see a real scary, you know, version of Frankenstein. If you've seen there's a like a classic Bernie Wrightston comic or graphic novel where he did Frankenstein. The artwork is just amazing, um, and it's definitely a lot darker than certainly what I'm doing. But it's nice to see all kinds of different versions. This is just one that I decided to do myself. So I'm gonna have I don't know if you can. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm drawing away and you can't even see. That was I gotta keep an eye on that. Um, so so he's got here in this version he's got some metal plates and things that are holding him up. He's got some liquid kind of running through his body trying to keep him alive. You might make the argument this is sort of steampunky because he's got a few gauges and well, there's really no steam involved. It's all I imagine it's all powered with some sort of uh, liquid or something that kind of courses through his body and kind of keeps him alive. So there's just a few details I want to tighten up here before I start inking. If I were to color this, you can kind of see where he's kind of patchworked. He's all stapled and stitched together. So if I was going to do that, I would probably make different skin tones, like he's built out of different bodies. Just a real makeshift, version of Frankenstein. I've got him in sort of a like a almost like a Dickie work shirt. I thought that would be almost like a working class monster, like maybe he's brought to life to do like manual labor or something like that. I don't know. Maybe even we'll draw on it. I don't. Won't see it because it's collar, but right here, maybe even a name tag that says Frank or something on it. Sleeves rolled up here. Here you can see maybe part of them is mechanical. Like he's just basically put together with whatever Dr. Frankenstein can find. He's kind of a Mickey Mouse creation. Can you guys see it? Sorry. I have to keep my eye on this. I only have so much room where this camera will pick up, so that's a good thing. When there are people in the chat, they'll let me know. Hey, we can't see what you're drawing. I might like to actually take this guy into the computer and do some coloring. I think I'm going to try, I might try to do some Google Hangout versions of these live streams, because I think the quality is a little better and I can do a better screen capture if I was going to do some work on the computer. The only reason I'm using Ustream is for the chat feature, but lately there haven't been a lot of people in the chats anyway, so I don't know why I'm still using it. A big belt buckle. Frankenstein to me and always has to have that big giant belt and belt buckle. Here's some of his skin is sort of ripped out here and exposing some of the muscle, which is always fun to draw. It's just a basic, it's just really just a series of cross-hatching lines. At least that's how I draw muscles. So I'll draw a few going this way, then a few going diagonally, and then up here. And it looks like a big mess on the screen, I can tell, but hopefully when I ink it, you'll be able to see it a little better. Okay, let's see. Let's go down here. Down to the boots. He has some metal. I'm kind of heavy duty, so steel-toed boots. Maybe give him a little more of a platform to the shoe, because the iconic Frankenstein usually has these kind of big platform shoes, and that, I don't know if that was just so Karloff would look taller, or what, probably, or if that was a design decision. Up here, we got seen a few other artists kind of do this interpretation where he has, you can see his brain under the glass, under like a glass dome. I think that's mainly because I think in the most versions of Frankenstein that you've seen, or even Young Frankenstein, they find the brain and that's kind of the last thing they add. So a lot of artists, including myself, like to kind of add that into their version of Frankenstein where you can actually see the brain. All right. He doesn't have much going on in the hand, so I'm going to draw a few, like maybe his fingers, or some of the fingers are just added secondary from other bodies, so have those kind of stitched on. Okay. You see that? Okay, hold on a second. Get my pens. Oh wait, let me darken this tube up a little bit. All right. Usually I use my brush pen. This time I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to use, what is this? A Pigma pen, which is more like a manga or manga um, pen. Also, Micron is another brand, or a lot of people just call them microns. Usually I call them microns. I want to do some really detailed work in here, so this tiny stuff works good with these sort of pens. So I might break out the brush pen a little bit later. Oh, the other reason I'm doing these, I'm going to do some of these monster drawings, is there's a convention coming up in Phoenix, Arizona. It's September 28th and 29th. It's called Keen Halloween. And if you go to keenhalloween.com, you can find all their info. But I will have a booth there, and I'll be selling some monster inspired goods and buttons, and what else do I have? Oh, trading card series. I've got my Mix and Match Monster series and my Wizard of Oz Robots series of trading cards. So I'll have lots of cool stuff there that you can purchase, and there'll be a bunch of other artists and entertainment, and should be a good time had by all. Yeah, hopefully this little detailed stuff you'll be able to pick it up on the camera. This is a little more detailed than I usually do with these sketches, but I might actually like sell this one, so I'll spend a little more time on it. Like I said, I'll probably scan it in before I do that, and maybe even color it, depending on how it turns out. Some of these sketches I'm not too happy with the end results, so I don't really do much else with it. It's just kind of an exercise, but we'll see. We'll see how this looks. Some bubbles in here. The classic bolts on the neck. Gotta throw those in there. There's the other one over here that you're not going to see too much of because it's kind of on the other side of his head. Big, thick eyebrows. In this version, I'm going to kind of give him some sideburns and maybe some longer hair. Just notice that smudged a little, so I guess I got to be careful with these pens. Here, let's see it. I should be able to cover it up. I'll move that up so you can see. Just want to do all the little detail stuff, and then I'll switch to a thicker pen, and then I'll probably go over it with my uh, brush pen, which is a lot thicker. So it's really hard to get like little tiny details like this with a brush pen, though. You're going to see some of his hair kind of coming down here. And maybe back over here too. And behind the neck. Switch around a little. Well, here, I should probably do these. I want these to be a little more detailed, so draw some bubbles. I wish I could. I wish I could fly a bunch of people out. Thanks for joining in on the chat. Yeah, I would like to get out to, I know Seattle has some cool comic conventions. I would like to get out there, but I'm just right now kind of getting into doing the whole comic convention circuit, so I'm going to stick locally for a while because it does get expensive if you have to travel, obviously. So, but hopefully I'll get out to Seattle. I've never been there, so I would like to go. I wanted to go to I have I have some family in Oregon. I wanted to go up there and just make a trip up there. So hopefully I can do that someday. But I guess Seattle, what is it? Emerald City Con is the big one. I don't know if you're into comics or comic conventions or, you know. I don't know if these are like stitches or just like little metal staples. Probably staples because they're bigger. I guess stitches would be a little thinner, but and here when you do these, when you're drawing these lines that are kind of cut across where he's sewn together, you want to take in consideration that the body isn't. It's just not straight. Like I wouldn't want to just draw a straight line across here. The muscles, you want it to kind of curve over the muscles, so it gives it sort of a 3D effect, as you can see. And again, right here, where the wrist is. Yeah, I know a lot of artists down here. They go up to Seattle for Emerald City Con. I know Daniel Davis from Steam Crow. I think he's up there. So if you ever seen his stuff, he's pretty awesome. He's actually the one that is putting together Keen Halloween. It's kind of his brainchild. And the idea is that it's a kind of a maker's fair for Halloween. So it's not horror. It's monsters and Halloween, uh, just basically everything Halloween. But there's a bunch of horror specific conventions already. So he wanted to do something a little different. That's sort of family oriented, but it's still spooky and it's kind of an all ages event. So, and if you've seen any of Steam Crow's work, you can find them at steamcrow.com. Um, you can kind of see exactly the kind of stuff you'll probably find there, or just go to keenhalloween.com and you'll see if anyone's interested in checking that out. But it would be cool if I mean, this is only the second year, but if it gets going, it might be cool to like do a similar convention in other cities. I don't know if that's part of his plan or not. I'm sure it's a way off, but if it is. Oh, are you an artist too? That's cool. What kind of stuff do you draw? That's cool. Yeah. The only comics I've done is kind of my own thing. When I was younger, I wanted to break into comics, and then I realized I mean, I like drawing stuff like Spider-Man and the Hulk and all that, but I kind of rather, if I'm going to do a whole story, kind of want to do my some of my own characters. But I suppose if one of those companies came to me and asked me to do, a Spider-Man story or whatever, yeah, I'd do it, of course. How do you do at the conventions? Do you sell a lot of artwork? I I've only done one big one, the Phoenix Con, and I did pretty well. So I got a bigger booth for this next year coming up. So I'll have to see how that goes. Uh, I'm just kind of moving around right now because I'm just doing all the really tiny detailed stuff with this little pen, and then I'll go do a bigger pen. Do you have a URL for your website or a place where I can see some of your work? I'll check it out. I always looking at other artists' work. All right, do some of the brain stuff in here. Oh, I'm familiar with Chaos Comics. They used to be. I think they were located here in Arizona originally. I did a long time ago. I did like an Evil Ernie pinup, and some of the guys that were. I don't know what event it was, but I went and I saw some of the guys in the parking lot of the event from Chaos Comics. This is a while back. I think now it's under different ownership, or I'm not sure though. But I kind of accosted them in the parking lot and showed them some of the work. But that was a long time ago when I was pretty young and my artwork wasn't very good back then. So yeah, I think what saved me at I know a lot of people just like break even when they do the shows, but um, I put some money into which means I probably didn't break even, but um, one of the things that I do on the side, I used to do set design, so I created a really interesting booth, and I think it helped me kind of get some interest at the table and everything. So I was able to make a decent profit from just the first one, but then I sunk almost everything I earned back into next year's show. So that's probably the way it goes. But I think to me, getting attention, and there's a blog post on my website at circworks.com that kind of details what I did. Um, and again, it kind of worked for me, but I don't know if the same techniques will work for other people. But all right, I'm going to switch to a little thicker pen. Do this collar kind of going behind there. What else we got? I think I saw. I don't remember how to pronounce his name. It's Brian. It starts with a P. It's is it Polito? I'm probably totally off, but I think the guy who started Chaos Comics, I saw him at an event just recently over at a local comic book store here. Um, and when I went back, I was talking to some other creators that I knew, and when I went back, he must have already went to lunch. So yeah, it from what I understand, it takes time to kind of figure out the whole convention scene, but I know some people that have been doing it, so I did my research before, going in, and I think that helped me. And that's the other reason why I want to stay local right now, because it just the traveling expense, that's what adds up. Oh, you already sent out. Yeah, I've got to be more active on Twitter. I usually, but I will go check that out if he's already sent a link. Usually if I get a message on Twitter, my phone will buzz me, but I guess it didn't. Did you just send that link or did you send it before? I'll definitely go look through on my account and check it out. I've been sort of neglecting my Twitter account because it seemed like I was more active a while back, and then I kind of took a break from Twitter. And when I went back on, a lot of the people that I followed or was talking to, they weren't as active either. So, but I can always there's always other interest. I got to find other interesting people to follow. Mostly, I just follow other artists. I don't follow any celebrities or anything like that, unless you count Weird Al Yankovic. I think he's the only sort of celebrity that I follow. There we go. Cool. Thanks. I will definitely check it out. And I don't if you started following, am I following you? Because if you started following me last time, I probably saw that and I started following you, but I haven't really been on there for a while, but I'll do that as well. He usually posts some funny stuff, so I don't know. I'm sort of a big Weird Al fan. It's amazing that he's been doing it so long and he has this amazing way of tapping into the whatever the current generation is into, and that's why he remains popular. But like, because I heard his most recent album, and you know it at first I was like, I didn't really recognize the songs because I don't really keep on up on what's new as far as pop music. But then I warmed up to it, and then I started hearing after I heard the Weird Al songs. Then I started hearing the songs on the radio. I'm like, oh, I like the Weird Al version better. So, but I like most of his original stuff that aren't parodies more than his actual parody songs. So I'm getting close with all this little detailed stuff, and then I'll kind of go over it with my thick brush pen and add some thicker lines. But for the most part, he's pretty, pretty sketched out. But he's right now. There's just not a lot of line weight. He's all so That's why I like to go in and make thicker lines and bolder lines. I'm getting an error saying my computer can't handle or the internet connection can't handle it on my the streaming. So I don't know if that means that I'm still streaming or not. So if you can't see me, let me know. Fairy World, is that so? That's more like Fairy World? I assume is more like a fantasy con. I haven't heard of that one, but I've been wanting to do some of like the independent, like I don't know if it's Ape or is it SPX? Is that one? I know there's some of the conventions kind of cater more towards independent creators, and I was curious to see. I was wondering how I would do at a show like that. Right now, Phoenix is. I mean, it is a big con, and they do have all the big name acts from the big two comic companies and everything, but it seems like there's a lot of the fans are still interested in creator owned works and independent creators. So I don't think that's really the same as San Diego. Drives your kid insane. I got my kids to like Weird Al. My daughter didn't at first because she's younger, so she had heard some of like the songs that he was doing the parody of. Like there was one that was an older one that was she liked girls just want to have fun, and there was girls just want to have lunch, and she did not like the fact that it wasn't saying the right words, but she was just little toddler at the time. So but yeah, I've got two boys and a girl. My boys, they like Weird Al. So but I remember my dad, I had his greatest hits, and we were going on like a road trip, and I was with my dad, and he listened to the whole thing, and then afterwards he's like, I don't know what this crap is, and he's just so he's not a big Weird Al fan, I guess. I got a little smudge there. That sucks. Nothing that can't be fixed. It's a fairy artist, and so do you said you do a lot of like more horror stuff. You were able to do well at that show, or did you also do some specific like fantasy artwork to sell there? I try to cater some of the artwork that I bring to whatever the show is. Like I'm doing a lot of monster stuff for this Keen Halloween, and then I do some more pop culture type artwork for um, Phoenix Con. The good thing about here in Arizona, we've got a pretty good selection. We've got like three or four major conventions, fairly big conventions. So I've only been to Phoenix though. Looking at the clock, I'm getting better at trying to keep everything under an hour. It seems I kind of lost track of time, but I looked and I got about I got about 20 minutes before my hour's up, and I should have this thing finished by then. So I'm gonna do some of this darker blacks here with this. Oh, sorry. I gotta watch what's showing up on the screen and what isn't. Pretty happy with this so far. So I'll have to do a whole series of these monsters. I have so many different versions of Frankenstein and the werewolf and the mummy that I've drawn. I always try to every time I try to do them, I try to do a different take. So there we go. It's almost close to being done. What else can I do here? Yeah, add a little more blacks here and there. How about up here? Get some blacks. How about his belt? That could be black. Okay. Maybe shoes, but I think I'm gonna leave those. I might want to do those in like brown or something, but all right. So there's Frankenstein. Won't all fit on one screen, but go ahead and put my name on it. I wonder if I can erase that little smudge. Ooh, it worked. Sometimes if these smudges are just real light, even though it's ink, that the eraser will erase it. Okay, so that just about wraps up another CircWorks Artcast. Thank you for checking it out. Hopefully, I'm trying to do one a week, so hopefully maybe next Thursday I'll do another one. If not, I will do another reschedule. Again, you can follow me on circworks.com, on Facebook/CircWorks, CircWorks on Twitter, and I guess I will see you guys next week. Take it easy.